G'day, Steve Morgan here for another Tackle Fridays. Got a bit of content this week, and of course, if this is the first time you've joined me, we do this nearly every Friday where we sit down and check out all the new bits and pieces that have turned up on my boat, in my tackle collection, and just more generally at the Fishing Monthly, soon to be called Fishing Media, and ABT offices. So welcome to Tackle Fridays. Over the last few weeks, one of the most exciting things I've done is the cicada fishing in the last day and a half of the Bream Grand Final. So of course I visited my local ABT member tackle store, which happens to be the Tackle Warehouse. I live about 1 kilometre away from it, and I visited their cicada collection. Now, let me just say that I'm sort of at the northern reaches of where people do bream fishing with cicadas. Probably haven't got as good a selection as, say, Adam at fishing.com.au or the guys at Hot Tackle or Manning River Marine, but I did buy this collection of TMK soft shell cicadas from the Tackle Warehouse. Now, this shows you how little they get used. I think when they start, they're this orange colour, the boxes, and the rack near the window. Some of these have been here for a while. Down to this one here, I think he's been there for a while. And I reckon if I've cracked the code on Tackle Warehouse pricing, their code, I reckon that's been there since February 2021, so maybe 4 years old, this guy here. So I did hit him up from my ABT discount and received it. So I've got some new soft shell cicadas, focusing on the black. I've got some of the other colours there, but what a great way it is when you hear the cicadas buzzing in the trees so loud that you can hardly hear yourself think of throwing those cicada top waters at them. I know that some of the guys did well in the Bream Grand Final on them. I love fishing them up here. And interestingly, as we're driving back from Lake Macquarie all the way back to Brisbane, nearly all of northern New South Wales, they are going mental at the moment. So some of the rivers are blown out a little bit with rain, like my local stuff is a little bit blown out with rain, but there are some pristine looking rivers on the way up. So it is the time of year for cicadas. All of your ABT member shops will have those on the wall. Another interesting thing came up today, and let me preface all of this by saying I've been on a little bit of a trying to catch a Mangrove Jack binge this week. In Queensland, we don't have daylight saving, so the sun comes up like at 3:50 something, it's first light. It's crazy. By 4 o'clock, it's sort of light, and by 7 o'clock in the morning, it's often 30 degrees. So good time to go Mangrove Jack fishing in the morning. And there was a bit of an ulterior motive because I hadn't caught my Rapala Trophy Hunters Mangrove Jack, and I live in a big Mangrove Jack part of the world. So I put in 3 trips this week to try and catch, well, a jack, but also a 50 centimetre jack, because that would get me my Rapala Trophy Hunters badge. So I took out these 3 outfits, and I will say that I'm being spoon-fed a little bit by Mick Horn, the red dog specialist who works for Rapala about 30 metres out the back there. So this is what he tied on my lines to try and get me sorted out. The first one was the Rapala Shad Rapala in the bigger size. That's got the hooks that are ready to go straight out of the box on it. I had that on some 20 pounds straight through fluorocarbon, mainly for throwing at bridges. He goes, bridges right on the bottom of the change of the tide, that's going to be great. Threw at some bridges, didn't really catch much. Top water wise, Mick really suggested one of the walking baits from Rapala, but I really love the action of the Rapala fizzers. That's a skidder prop fizzer, P-R-O-P. Balsa wood lure, a great fizz when you're throwing it out. Didn't actually catch much on that, but I did throw that along some of the rock walls and some of the more open structure in the low light, like first thing in the morning, when the jacks, I think, would still be roaming around. But this is the money bait from Rapala from the Mangrove Jacks that I threw around, and I'm going to play a clip just after this showing you some of the bycatch I got. Caught some cracking big cod doing it, but this is the 4-inch heavy hitter on one of the VMC 5/8 of an ounce jig heads with that's about maybe a 3 or 4.0 hook in it. Now this lure here, again, you'll see in the clip, you throw it out, only sink it for a second or two, and then start burning it in. You want it to just sit just below the pontoons, and hope you enjoy this clip of the big old cod that nearly had me thinking I had my Rapala Trophy Hunters Mangrove Jack this morning. Get out of there, 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 get out of there. Big cod. Damn. It ain't no Mangrove Jack. That's a proper big one. Third one this morning. Pests. So there you go. It's really disappointing when what you think's going to come up red comes up brown. But that was over 60 centimetres, that cod. You can nearly fit your fist in its mouth. And they fight pretty good. Like at the time of mid-fight, you think that you've got a great Mangrove Jack on, but that was on the white heavy hitter, 4-inch, that 5/8 of an ounce head. It's a good looking bait. Now, I'll admit that during the week I did some pretty cool research during the week. And when I was Googling it, it was actually on my TV at home. YouTube was recommending things that I wanted to watch. And it told me to watch, I don't know how YouTube knows this, but it told me to watch John Costello's video about his jack burners. Now, I knew he was releasing those, and I've seen his paddle glides, his bigger baits. But these little jack burners, I started playing the video and I watched the whole damn thing. John, you're an absolute legend at giving the people that buy your lures the information that they need to catch fish on them. So I've gone through the whole design process of these, how he's measured up the bait fish, how to fish them. And interestingly, a lot of the way that John was saying online to fish the lures was very similar to what Mick was saying to fish his bait. So I think the technique is broadly similar no matter what lure you got on, but everyone has its own little specific idiosyncrasies. So I was chatting to John a bit during the week, and he actually set me up a couple of packets there. So now that it doesn't matter if I catch on a Rapala or not for the Rapala Trophy Hunters, that thing just finished today, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. I'm going to really give these guys a go. I reckon they'll skip really well. They're exactly the right size. You can fish them on spin or bait cast, and I think they're going to be a really interesting bait. And I reckon they're going to have applications a little bit further than just mangrove jack fishing, which of course is what John's decided that they're really good for. To be honest, I reckon that's going to be quite a good Barra bait as well. But he sent me I suppose this is a pre-release sample. This is of the My Lure Box Barra burner. And of course, we've just come off a couple of months of pretty solid Barra fishing in the Barra Tour, and fishing them in all sorts of different ways. Like Barra Tour guys catch them throwing at weed edges, rolling them up off the bottom, live scoping them, burning them over the top of shallow weed. And in his box here, this is a 5 lure pack that he has here. You can fish nearly all of those ways. And if I look at the thing, I haven't opened this yet, but I'm going to open it right now. He has got a 1 ounce deep, a 1/2 ounce shallow, and a slow sinking glide bait, plus some spare tails, plus some accessories of the things that you're going to use to throw them. So this is actually first time I've opened it up here. And what you get in the box is, I'm assuming that's the 1 ounce. That's the 1 ounce heavy. So that's got quite a large internally weighted jig head in there. It's got the stinger hook already on. It's got a pretty solid hook there, and it's got that jack burner style tail. So the Barra burner, that is not a great leap for anyone who fishes swim baits for Barra. If you throw a Mollix, if you throw a slicky, if you throw any of those sort of baits, this is not going to be a great leap. Throw it out, let it sink to the bottom, wind it in the correct speed. Sometimes that's fast, sometimes that's slow rolling. Next one in, I assume, is going to be a bit lighter. So yes, and that's a lighter bait. Is it lighter? I reckon it's a bit lighter. It does feel a little bit lighter. So that's a lighter bait, which I assume you can fish in shallower water or runs higher in the water column. Again, internally rigged jig head there. Yeah, and I can feel the length of the jig head. This one is probably the 1/2 ounce one because it feels like it's about half as long as that one there. So again, pre-rigged, ready to tie on and throw at Barra straight away. But this is an interesting one. And the third one he describes as a slow sinking glide bait. So this is a bait which is rigged. It's got a little small stopper there. It's got a twist in eye, I assume here. It's got a worm hook. It's got another little stopper there, and it's got the big stinger treble on the back. I assume this is for fishing over the top of shallow weed, and also maybe for slow sinking Barra that you see on the scope. So interesting that iteration of it there. I really like, again, I haven't put these in the water yet, but I love the strength of that EWG worm hook there and that treble. I get the feeling that if I'm never going to bend them out, and I don't have to go and retrofit anything straight out of the box. What else I have in the pack? I have a couple of spare tails there, which I assume they will get torn up when I catch a few barras. But there's some interesting little kits inside here, and I assume this is an insert if you want to make your baits float a lot more. That's like a floating insert that will make sure the water doesn't get on the inside. You can run your bait even shallower, and of course we've all seen the frogging videos in the past to see how it works. Now there's a couple of spare eyes in here. This is another packet that comes on the inside. Some spare eyes. There's a couple of rattles in there, and I think there's a few replacement stoppers in there, and they all look like they glow in the dark. So everything I think you need to target Barra from top to bottom is in there. So John, I think your marketing's great. If your Barra video is anything like your Jack video, people are going to know how to fish it. And I think your packaging's awesome. I think it's, I'm not a super fan of blister packs for environmental reasons, but to keep these baits in good nick, I think that's the only way you could maybe sell them and have them just ready for people to tie on straight away. So there are my Barra burners. Pretty sure that John sells these to tackle shops wholesale as well as selling them direct. So my lure box is where you go to see John's stuff. And mate, keep on giving people that information to catch more fish. You take Who Shares Wins to a whole new level. So and thank you for shooting those ones in the mail to us. Happy to have them on Tackle Fridays. Now, a question that I asked, if you saw a reel that I used to promote today's Tackle Fridays, I asked a question about sticky TPE. And this is what happened before Barra close season. I bought a couple of these big prawns. Pretty handy catching Barra on jerk baits, but I'm not really handy at catching on plastic. So I bought a few of these big prawns, rigged one up, sat on the deck for a lot of the time of the Barra tour. Threw it a little bit in the fresh water, but never really played. But now it's all sticky. Like TPE is great for stretchiness, but now it is really tacky. And I asked all the experts out the back at Rapala, so why does TPE get sticky? Well, you know what they all knew? Nothing. But Mitchy, he's pretty, Mitch Petty at the back, he is pretty proactive, and he went and asked ChatGPT about it, and surprisingly, it's given me a pretty good story here about why these TPE plastics get sticky. Now, it's not just this Irukandji one, it's some of the crushed shitties I've had sitting on the deck for a while, some that I've put scent on and stuff like that. They end up getting a little bit sticky, and I'm wondering whether I have to put a little bit more care into looking after my soft plastics. Maybe I need to wash and dry that afterwards and put it back in the box. That might be how I do it. So, but when Mitchy chatted it, AI chatted it, this is what it says, all right? Thermoplastic elastomers, TPE, can sometimes become sticky over time due to a few key reasons. It's given 5 reasons here. 1, plasticizer migration. The TPE materials often contain plasticizers to enhance flexibility and softness. Over time, these plasticizers can migrate to the surface of the material, making it feel sticky. Sounds pretty reasonable to me. This migration is often associated by exposure to heat, light, or air. Well, guess what it was getting exposed to on the Barra tour? Heat, air, and light in big doses. So might be an own goal, that one. Next one, degradation of the polymer. Over time, the polymer structure of TPE can degrade due to environmental factors such as UV radiation, temperature fluctuations, or oxidation. As a polymer breaks down, the material may lose its smooth texture and become sticky. Well, that's just what it said in the first one. 3, surface contamination. Dust, oils, and other contaminants can accumulate on the surface of TPE. This layer of contaminants can mix with the TPE's surface properties, leading to a sticky feeling. So I suppose that's putting scent on it and leaving it in the air and dust. So I've done that to them as well. 4, exposure to certain chemicals. Some chemicals, including cleaners or lotions, can react with TPE and cause it to become sticky. This is particularly common in products like TPE-based toys or wearable items that come into frequent contact with skin, products like oils, perfumes and lotions. It didn't get no perfume from me, so I don't think 4 is going to be happening for the fishing ones anyway. And improper storage. Storing TPE products in humid or hot conditions can accelerate both the plasticizer migration and the degradation process, contributing to stickiness. So, and of course we all know if you put TPE with normal plastic, that is a recipe for disaster. I must admit, there is a little scar on the back of this guy here where a little a fish trap laid next to it for a day, and I go, oh, shouldn't be doing that, but it did leave a little scar on the back. So if you're going to write a manual on how to make your TPE sticky, I reckon I nailed 4 out of the 5 of those. And I think if you've got any tips of how we can avoid it, apart from when I come home, just wash it off in soapy water and put it back in the packet, that might just be the only way to keep them good. But I'm sort of, rubs me a bit that I pay me $30 for 2 plastics, and I've used one a few times and I've improperly stored it, and now I'm paying the price for it. So we're finishing up at ABT at the moment. Nicole Smith is in that next room there selling the crap out of sponsorship for next year. Really, luckily for ABT, lots of our sponsors go year on year. They appreciate the support, they appreciate that the guys use their products, and they appreciate the value that ABT gives them. But this is just a call out. If you're watching this and you've got some sort of tackle company you want to be involved with ABT, you only got 4 or 5 days left to get it done, because when we leave for the Christmas break, she's sort of all done. We send the badges away, we send the walls away. We have got a few new sponsors this year, and Nicole works really hard to get that done. So that's about it. I'm going to break now, come back to you with exactly what the prize is. All right, I've assembled the prize, and of course it is going to be an assortment of TPE plastics. Firstly, the Xeric. These are Dicko's favourite, the old flat shads. He modifies them a little bit, but there's a flat shad in there. Of course, TPE, the Rapala Crush Shitties. There's 3 of the big 5.5-inch heavy hitters there. Bait junkies are TPE. There's some of the big Barra size bait junkies in the cool Barra colour that you're all going to love. Couple of packs of Z-Mans there. We've got some craws, and we've got some like basically jig trailers there, and of course a pack here of the bait junkie, the little shrimps. That's a larger size shrimp. They've released a smaller size shrimp right now. So throw your TPE storage tips either on YouTube and Facebook. Last winner from Tweed Heads. Here we've sent that prize away already. That was randomly picked. Hope you enjoy your pro lures when you go barra fishing up at Mondrian. You said you're going up to Mondi either late this year or sometime in the new year. So an ABT angler, hope you put those pro lures to good use. Now there's one thing that I did forget to do, and that's go back and talk about the conclusion of the Rapala Trophy Hunters competition or scheme or whatever it was for this year. It was the guys out the back ran it. It was like the old days, if you remember the old Tortue Awards, and that was like 35 years ago. You catch a certain fish on Tortue line, you would get a little embroidered patch. Trophy Hunters have sort of modernised that now. You see your little embroidered patch, but you actually can submit all your stuff on an app. All you have to do is catch the fish on the Rapala lure. Now, I've caught some good bycatch this year, which ended up being Trophy Hunters badge-winning fish. At Somerset during the pre-fish, I caught a 57.5 centimetre yellow belly on a Rapala crankbait. I caught a 75 centimetre flathead on one of their creepers during one of the team's Bream tournaments during the year. What else did I get? I got a big Barra in the Brizzy River on one of the prototype Crush City big heavy hitters. What else did we get? We got a big Bream on one of the little ultralight cranks. And what was number 5? I got 5 of the Rapala Trophy Hunters thing, but I needed 6. I actually needed 7 to catch Mick Horn and 6 to catch the guy in front of me. Hence all of the jack fishing this year. If you didn't download it, you can also check it out on the Rapala Trophy Hunters app. And the big word is it's going to go again next year. So great way to get some extra reward for your Rapala lures. If you win categories, you win product. If you win their Angler of the Year, you win product. All of that information over on the Rapala website. That's Tackle Fridays for this week. We'll see you again, probably one more time before Christmas.